You're with All Air and Heat. It's your company. It's been a long, hot summer. What have you seen out in Brevard County as you've been working with homes and businesses on their air conditioning? A lot of things that people may know they need to check or update, but don't always keep it on the regular schedule is their filters. Can you give us a little bit more insight? What exactly does a filter do, and why is it important to update it on a regular schedule?
Your filter is probably one of the most common problems we run into. If your filter is clean, you're getting that clean, fresh, filtered air going into your return intake, going into your system. That clean air is now going across that coil, gets into your house. If you have a dirty filter, even slightly dirty, you start putting a restriction on the airflow. Now all of a sudden you start lowering the temperatures on that coil. Next thing you know, it's freezing up. Now you got bigger and better problems. That's when you're calling us and you're going, hey, I'm not working, I'm not cooling. A lot of times we get out there, pull that filter out, thaw that ice, and there's nothing wrong with your system.
Wow.
A dirty filter that may cost you $10 a month just now costs you probably $120 because you didn't change it. Very, very common problem. A lot of your filters now, they say on the filter, you'll buy a pack, it says 3-month filter. Don't ever go by that. You got to change your filter accordingly to your house. You got a big house, you have pets, dogs, cats, birds. I mean, I've seen them all out there. Kids, we're all dirty, we're all inside, outside, our doors open, our doors closed, we get the pollutants, the pollen in the air. You can't just leave your filter in there and say, hey, all right, well, I'll change it in 3 months because that's what that company says to. No, you have got to check that thing at least every month and change it.
And are there different types of filters?
There are different types. You can buy the cheap 4-pack for $4, or you can buy a good pleated quality filter, and it may cost you anywhere from $7 to $10. I always recommend the $5 to $7 range. I have one here. These are really good filters. These are the ones that you want to kind of use itself. They're good, they're pleated, you can't see through them. I always tell customers, if you can see through it, what good is it going to do you? If you can see through it, well, then that pollen and that fine dust is going to go right through it. It's going to get onto your coil. It's going to build up. Next thing you know, you're paying $400 to have a coil pulled out and cleaned, all because you didn't use proper filters.
And is there different materials that filters can be made of?
There are different ones. You have a washable material. They break down over years. They don't collect the pet dander. They don't collect the fine dust. You have those cheap filters that you'll buy 4 in a pack for $4. Again, if you can see through them, you're going to get anything through that. The only thing that's going to pick up is your big dog hair maybe. And then they have electrostatic filters, which are good, but if they're not cleaned properly, forget it, they're done because you can't wash them. All right, there are a bunch of different type of filters out there. And if you have questions, just call the office and we can explain them to you. Do your research. Google's out there.
What about the big filters that are supposed to last a year? What's that about?
Those are your media filters. Those are high impact filters. They say they'll last 6 months to a year. We do have a couple of those, that are out there. But even on those, I always put a pre-filter in. I'll put one of these 1-inch filters in, and then I'll let that customer know that filter's good as your backup for up to 6 months, but still monitor it. You always have to monitor these filters. Don't just set it and let it and leave it alone. It doesn't work that way. You have to check them.
And what is the long-term effects? You mentioned short-term, it could freeze over, but if you continue to do that, it's going to shorten the life of your inside unit?
It will.
Yeah,
it'll shorten the life of the inside unit because the more you neglect that filter, the more pollutants you're letting into that system. And not only does that get into the coil, but then it gets into your blower and it gets into your ductwork. So now you have to start progressively going through and start cleaning things a lot more often. An average system only lasts 10 to 12 years. Let's at least push it out to the full 12 years if we can.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that properly without having a lot of repairs and maintenances and doing everything you can within that whole 12 years is proper filtration.
All Air and Heat. No sweat.